watch out, the BooMan's coming. You better watch out, the BooMan's coming.
Hello and welcome back. I am the Mystic BooMan, and before I forget, we have a lot to cover in a short amount of time to do that. Your magic numbers are 3 and 8. Yep, just 3 and 8. I know that's a little weird. Again, as always, don't rewind it to get those magic numbers. If you rewind it, you can play this tape as many times as you want, but you should get the magic numbers on the first go round. If you go back to write down the magic numbers, the magic dissipates. I'm not sure how that works, but you know, it's magic, so it's mysterious. Enough of that. Like I said, we got a lot to get to. Last time I promised more tips on for preppers, not just to survive, but to thrive in the well, they refer to it as the world, or without rule of order world, or shit hits the fan. I'm going to refer to it for practical purposes as the post-apocalyptic world. Basically just because that's when the apocalypse was predicted, 2012. It may not be an accurate description. I'm not in the future or from the future coming back to tell you, so I don't know for a fact, but I like to think of it as a world very similar to, if you play video games, Fallout, particularly Fallout 3 and perhaps Fallout Vegas, not so much the first two. So you're in that kind of a world and you run across people, some, with cattle, blah, blah, blah. You go to various camps. And in those worlds, too, I noticed basically the whole society is now reduced to a totalitarian society. To be honest with you, I didn't get that far into Fallout Vegas because it seemed very much like Fallout 3, and I had worn that out in my brain. So I didn't get to Vegas. What I'm getting at is they may have explored this concept in that, because Vegas kind of, even though it's Fallout Vegas and it's in the post-apocalyptic world, you get the visual in your mind when you hear that title of there's games and some form of casino left, and maybe you're not playing with American dollars or any kind of currency. Maybe you're playing for food, gambling with food and your life, your fingers, etc. Like I said, I didn't get to the Vegas part of that, but the idea, the concept of what I'm discussing today is the same, which is in the post-apocalyptic world, when you're done chopping your wood and having your kids gather wood and trapping and getting your animals, and I know a lot of you in your mind think it's going to be you get up at sunrise and you go to bed at sunset, and then you have guard duty during the night among various members. All that is true, and I'm speaking from if you recall from the last tape, or if this is the first tape you've seen, I was in the military and we did round the clock. We were out in the fields. I was in Desert Storm, and we had a perimeter, a circle perimeter, which is an awesome idea for any camp because it's equidistance from the center, and blah blah blah. We'll go into that another time, or leave that to more better military minds than my own. But in short, what I'm getting at is, well, one, I've lived in a tent city for the war, where no electricity, anything like that, and we lived very roughly, and then during the war even more so than the tent city. So I do have a little bit of experience on how to live and survive and without off the grid. Now there was rule of law, of course, so well, I can't say that it was totally lawful. There was a lot of laws being broken, which I could go into another time, and you did have to fear for somebody might not like you and is looking for that excuse for friendly fire, in my case, as you can imagine. In any event, once you establish, you dig the foxholes, you got the wood, you've done all the work in camp, you've gathered all the food there is to get You know, you've gathered all the berries, you've hung some possums in the meat shed, and you're making your jerky, blah, blah, blah. Inevitably, you're going to have some free time. And now, you know, at first you're like, well, I'm going to rest, you know. Good for you. I mean, that's a good thought. But ultimately, especially if you have kids, and this is in particular, especially if you have kids, you're going to want to have forms of post-apocalyptic entertainment. That was a long introduction to get to this point. And basically, I was describing this to my friends who were saying, you should title this, How to Make the Post-Apocalyptic World Fabulous. He and I are artists. I went into the military and have gotten some mechanical training just because I wanted to be a more dimensional person. But in my bones, I always resort back to that artist in me. So he and I wouldn't be your typical preppers. We would be like, you know, it would be a liberal prepper camp. And, you know, so you don't think we're going to survive that long. However, like it or not, as you're rebuilding society, you want to have people like us, because really what's the point of living in drudgery, and you're just setting yourself or your subsequent generations up to be slaves. If you just condition yourself to do work and not enjoy life, then you know what's a life worth living. And I have recently seen videos where they talk about biggest regrets on the deathbed regrets, and one of them was I work too much. So here's some things you're going to want some leisure activities in the post-apocalyptic world. So what I've been thinking about is a slip and slide. These are things that I've tried and true among people. I would put together a few slip and slides down a pretty big hill if you got one, and maybe just divert your water supply temporarily to run down the slip and slide. Now I definitely I'm a slip and slide man. Some people lean towards the crocodile mile. That will do in a pinch, but definitely invest in the slip and slide. And I'd put more than one. I would duct tape a whole big line of them together and slide on down a hill. So that's one. That's always fun. Horseshoes, cards, a football, playing touch football. You don't want to play tackle. You can get bones broke, and then you know when it's time to fend off marauders, you got a bunch of injured people. But just to catch up, get my brain on the right train of thought, the topic is not only surviving in the post-apocalyptic world, but actually thriving, enjoying yourself, making the most of it. You know, sometimes people say, you know, when life gives you lemons, make lemon bombs out of them. Not those lemon bombs that you eat, but I think you can make acid-based bomb with a lemon. But along those lines, so the way I foresee the post-apocalyptic world and how I've described my experiences in the past is like for the first 2-3 weeks, there's going to be a lot of dying off. A lot of your neighbors are going to die, or you're going to kill them. At first you may not set out to, you know, you're not like planning on killing them, but you know, everybody's stocking up on guns, and sometimes they're going to be on your property. If you live out in the woods, you don't recognize them, you're going to shoot them on accident. And then more in close proximity, your friends and neighbors that you go to their garage sales and things like that, who, you know, you tolerate for the most part and smile. You know, it's the post-apocalyptic world. Why not, you know, let them know how you really feel about them? You know what I'm saying? I really think that's going to happen. So it's going to be complete pandemonium. During this time, where it's the most stressful, this is where I recommend you eat your best saved up food. So this is the time when you want to break out the MRE pizzas, or the MREs that are the best. I remember we used to fight over the MREs, like, or people would go on the MRE truck and dig out all the good ones. I forget what the good ones were, maybe spaghetti, but the bad ones that I got stuck with a lot were chicken a la king. The only upside of that was it came with a little Tabasco bottle, and that shit was like gold. So I got the bad food, but I got something to barter with, but I digress. But you get the point. What I'm getting at is, so you had a hard day killing people, fighting off marauders, blah blah blah, people dying left and right, having to bury them or not, just moving them so they don't stink or contaminate your water supply, etc., etc. Now's the time to reward yourself with those ho-hos you stowed away, Twinkies, blah blah blah. And I'll tell you my thought process behind that. Because ultimately, then people disappear. Now the population's shrinking, and your neighbors there's fewer neighbors, and blah blah blah. And so as time progresses and people dissipate into the atmosphere, now you can go out and maybe go to your neighbor's house, see what they had stored up. And they probably didn't watch this video, so they were probably eating their beans and thinking, you know, we'll save the good stuff for Christmas if we ever see another Christmas. For some reason, I picture this happening about 6 months before Christmas. And yeah, we'll hoard our, you know, our pies or whatever, I don't know, the good stuff for Christmas. No. Eat the good stuff first. Eat everybody else's stuff who didn't make it. I'm not talking about stealing, I'm just saying a lot of people aren't going to make it. Eat their good stuff at Christmas and celebrate being a wise person. In this, I discussed the crocodile mile. I don't know if I mentioned volleyball before. It's a pain to set up that net, and it may be a frivolous thing to have in the center of camp, but everybody likes volleyball. I'm telling you that right now. You're like, I don't know, I don't feel like it. Once you actually get out there and start playing, anybody can play it. It's fun, blah blah blah. So invest in 2 or 3 volleyballs, and a couple of them are going to get popped or shot, is what I meant to say. You might have one laying around and get hit by a stray bullet. So get a few volleyballs, get a bunch of volleyballs, and I don't know, you might get a bunch and then fill some of them with gunpowder, make one of those old-timey bombs, have the wick out of it. Just some food for thought there. Yeah, so I had some more, I had a lot of things, but I'm just going to leave you with that general premise. I think you get the gist. Games, volleyball, crocodile mile, slip and slide. This is just a recap. Eat your good food to reward yourself in the beginning, and that's about it.
Oh, you know that he's, yeah, you know that he's the one they call